Have you ever wondered what was out there in the night sky? Stared up at the stars in the hopes of seeing something out of the ordinary? Have you ever heard unexplainable noises coming from a vacant room, or watched a shadow cross the wall in front of you? Have you asked yourself if there's life after this one, or if you had life before? What about strange creatures that are mythical and elusive? Have you experienced deja vu, or felt a prompting to leave because you felt you were in danger? What if tomorrow you were on the fringe? Welcome to another episode of What If Tomorrow, or On the Fringe. I'm sorry I screwed that one up, didn't I? I'm Philip.
I'm Mark.
I screwed up. This is going to be a great show. I already screwed it up.
My camera is still doing frizzy things this week.
You look fine on my side.
Oh, yeah? Must be mine, because I just keep blinking.
Well, stop blinking.
I mean, I got some super glue someplace. I mean, I glued my hand to my lanyard at work the other day, so that was fun. I bet it'd work on my eyelids.
I bet it would, and I bet it hurt like hell getting them off.
I bet it would. It hurt like hell getting my lanyard off my hand.
Anyway, we're already having fun. Tonight, man, it's all about having fun. We're talking spooky. We're talking lore, legends, all that good stuff. I mean, this is the month of Halloween, one of my favorite holidays. It's just that time of year, man, and I love this time of year because it fits right into what we talk about. It's perfect.
The chill is in the air.
I wish.
The nights are getting longer.
Yep. Yeah, it's great, man. I love this time of year. This is my favorite season. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. Just because it's not as commercialized as Christmas. I mean, if you've listened to the show for a long time, you know I'm not a fan of Christmas. So I'll leave it at that. But anyway, folks, I'm glad you're here to join us. We like I said, we have a pretty, I hope, a fun show. Just hang out with us and chat and all that good stuff. But first things first, though, as always, do us a favor, check us out, whatiftomorrowmedia.com. Has all our affiliates on there. We got Duke Cannon, we got My Patriot Supply. Hey, Jess.
Hey.
Conflicted and EMP Shield. Man, there's a lot. I mean, Monday, our past show Monday, we had a good turnout. We had several people on with us live. It was awesome. I loved it. Hi, Mom. How are you doing? I loved it. I mean, I love the discourse. I love the chat. It's so much fun to interact with everybody, and I'm glad people are jumping in and hanging out. So do us a favor on that. Share it. Hey, let them know. Hey, these knuckleheads are on Mondays and Wednesdays, depending on whatever they want to listen to. If they like the fringe stuff, or if they like preparedness, things like that, point them our direction if you would. We'd appreciate it. Tonight, we're running down and we're talking about some of the world's most haunted places. We were going to do a top 10 list, but it depends on where you look for the top 10. They're all different. Now, most of them have some of the same places.
Some of them do.
Some of them have a lot of different places too. So we're just going to run down. We're going to talk about some of the most famous haunted places, throughout the world. In my list, all but 2, maybe 3, are in the United States. So we're just going to have a good time, chat, cut up, and just have fun. So without further ado, I know, Mark, you said you had a list. I've got a list, and
I've got about 4 lists.
Oh, sweet. And I've got a funny story about the first one, not about what happened there, but my experience with it. So the first one is the Amityville house. If you're in this space, you know about the Amityville house. Obviously, I mean, the movies and and all that. But I'll run down, if you're not familiar, I'll run down the what time. This is all my information is from Time Magazine. So uh, the house on 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York, an upscale Long Island suburb, was the site of a brutal family murder in which 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed his parents and 4 younger siblings on November 14th, 1974. But much of the legend surrounding the home stems from the family who moved in a little over a year after the murders. George and Kathy Lutz and their 4 children, knowing about the tragic events that had taken place, agreed to see the property, including a 4,000 square foot house, waterfront access, a boathouse, heated swimming pool, garage, and full basement, and eventually bought it. As soon as Kathy had walked into the house, she had a smile on her face that just beamed. That hadn't happened in all the previous homes we looked at. George Lutz recalled later describing the events in Amityville at a paranormal convention. I knew from the look on her face this was to be our dream home. Soon after moving in, though, things changed dramatically, even after having a place blessed by a priest at the urging of a friend. George and Kathy said they began to experience strange things, banging noises, footsteps untraceable to any family member's movements, mysterious and pervasive odors, green jello-like substances leaking from the walls, toilet water turning black, swarms of houseflies, and eyes peering from the outside of the windows. Even the family's behavior began to change. George was often sick, went days without bathing, and lost weight, while Kathy had constant nightmares. The children began to fight with each other. After the disturbance worsened, the Lutzes decided to leave the house temporarily, but the night in which they were to depart turned out to be their last night there. Although George Lutz is reluctant to explain the full details of that night, he once said that the hardest thing for those people who experience a haunting is the loss of being able to communicate with anybody else about it. It's not talked about, it's not understood, and when it happens to you, you become an alien to everybody else. The Lutz's entire account was later dismissed as a fabrication by paranormal investigator, the late Dr. Stephen Kaplan. Ultimately, Kaplan said George's stories of haunting were too wide-ranging and probably stemmed from pre-existing obsession with the paranormal. So everybody's familiar with it. I saw the old movie that was made in the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
But
maybe late 70s.
It could have been. I found it comical because the first time I watched it, I was in the Marines and I was actually staying at a buddy of mine's house. And I stayed up. I was working night shift, so I was used to staying up late, and he let me crash there or whatever. And so I stayed up and watched it. And I was spooked. I was like, yeah, even though I'm, the house I grew up in and all that stuff, all this, there's nothing like what I watched. So the room I was staying in was like a kid's playroom. They just had a twin bed in there. So I was crashing on it. Well, on the wall, they had these glow in the dark teddy bears tacked up to the wall. And the bedroom door was always shut, this and that, because I was staying in there for a little while. So I get done watching this. I'm kind of creeped out because it's like 3:00 in the morning. And I walk back and I open the door and I see those glowing ass teddy bears. Scared the living crap out of me, man. I was like, oh, you did, man.
The first movie was 1979.
79? Okay. But going into this article, and we talked about it last week with Pam and Jess, where Lutz is quoted as saying the hardest thing for those people who experience a haunting is the loss of being able to communicate with anybody else about it. I think that stigma is going away.
I think you're right.
I do, because it's so mainstream now that I think people are able to find somebody to talk to about it and be taken seriously.
Right.
We had he's a member of the podcast group. He shows up every now and again on the chat. He approached me at the Paracon because he was there. He's like, man, I want to tell you guys my story, but I don't want to be judged about it. Basically is what I can't remember. It's not an exact quote, but he didn't want to be judged. I said, man, feel free to share. I said, if you want, email us the story. Email, if you need to get it out, we're here. We're not going to judge you. I mean, you and I both have had experiences. So who am I to judge what you experience?
Right.
And kind of like what we talked about last week. If you experience this, whether it's real or not, you believe it to be true, you still experience that. Something happened to where it was some kind of trauma or just a weird experience that you've convinced yourself. I mean, if it's not real, but you've convinced yourself it is. And really, at nighttime, it's pretty easy to do.
It really is.
But anyway, I thought I would share that little small story and I actually served with another guy that was from Amityville. And he said the house, was of course legendary. He was around my age, and at the time, and still is, I'm sure. I don't know if he's dead or not. I doubt it, but he may have been a year or two older. So he's in his 40s now, and he said they changed the house. He said they changed the windows. The iconic windows from the Amityville house. They changed that to try to remove some of that stigma, so people wouldn't be so attracted to it if they tried to find it. He said, but the locals, I mean, he said as kids, we would ride our bikes past it. He said he never really got a creepy feeling or whatever, but everybody in a smaller town, everybody hears the stories of,
Right.
somebody got murdered in that house or something, like just up the road from me on 10th Street. I know somebody got murdered in the house, and every time you go by it, you think about it. Man, somebody died in that house. So of course it's going to be in the conscience of the population there of the town. It's always going to be in their mind. Hey, I knew that person, or I know somebody that knew that person, or was close friends with that person, or whatever. So,
yeah, I mean, there's places like that here in Caney.
Yep. So. Yep. And it's always going to be there. And that's the thing. I mean, because people are going to talk. And, a friend of mine driving past that house, on 10th Street, because we knew the guy who committed the murder. And he's in jail, obviously, for the rest of his life. But, I'm not going to give any names, none of that. But he said he hadn't said anything to his kids. But his daughter driving by that house, I mean, she was little, and she's like, Daddy, I don't like that house. It's like she could pick up on it. So maybe that's some psychic ability in her, or maybe kids are so open to it, they can pick it up. And I think that's probably more the case. But
yeah, I mean, that is something that everybody has noted at some time or another, how much more kids and animals are open to that sort of thing.
Right. And we've talked about it a lot, how we as people are conditioned away from that.
Oh, otherwise you'd go insane.
I think so. I tend to agree with that. So I mean, I like I said, I mean, everybody knows my story. We've shared them here a couple of times, and I'm still speculative, but I believe I'm a skeptical believer, if that counts, if that explains anything.
That about sums me up.
So what you got on your list?
Well, let's see. Let's just pick a list at random. One of the first places I've got is the Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Yes, sir. Hold on one second. I forgot.
It's on almost every list.
Yeah. Then my next one will also be on there. I forgot we're going to add some ambiance to this. We forgot about it. We were talking about it right before the show.
Creepy.
Yeah. Can y'all in the chat hear that?
Can you hear the background music, guys? I can hear it.
I can too, but my earmuffs are on.
I think right
Anyway,
there
let's
is.
go.
Well, everybody knows Waverly Hills. It's been on about every paranormal TV show ever.
I mean,
Pardon me.
yeah, I'm gonna bump this up a little bit. Jess and Chris said they couldn't hear it.
All right. Oh, Chris says she does now.
All right, there we go. Yep. All right.
Let's see. The first hospital on this Winsett Hill in Louisville, Kentucky, was built in 1910 to treat victims of the White Plague of tuberculosis that was ravaging the country. At the time, there was no known cure, and the disease was usually fatal. In some cases, doctors tried experimental methods to ease the symptoms. The stories emerged of illicit medical experiments in which the cure often proved as fatal as the disease. The sanatorium was the scene of many deaths over the years, although claims that more than 60,000 patients died there are exaggerated, according to surviving records. Historians say the real number was likely closer to 8,000, uh, with a total of 152 deaths in 1945, the worst year of the epidemic. So, I mean, it's been there a long time. It's a beautiful building as far as I'm concerned. We've actually got a high school in Coffeyville that has almost the same architecture at the front of it. I mean, it is a real popular style. I personally know people who've gone through there, and they say there's stuff going on. Well, whether it's actual ghosts or whether it's tulpa, I don't know. But they say the more people go through there, the more active it gets. So that that was the number one on my first list.
I've seen, ghost hunters and all that, talking about Waverly Hills. But it seems like a lot of these these places that treated tuberculosis are extremely active.
Yes. Well, it's a
And
painful way to die,
yeah.
and the
So
treatments
it
were
makes
just as
sense.
bad.
Yeah, so it makes sense. I mean, the deaths are obviously traumatic. So maybe that energy is still hanging out. I don't know. I mean, it's not my oh, yeah, Jess said she'd love to investigate there.
I
Yeah,
would
that'd be
too. Let's
cool.
go. Let's buy an
Road
RV
trip.
and go. Road trip.
But yeah, I mean, it only makes sense, you have all that trauma and everything with that energy there, keeping it there.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know. Maybe Jess, if you want to jump in here too, that's fine. Um, I guess maybe with the like everything's negative anymore,
Yeah.
right? With the news and with the way people act and all that, everything is so negative. Do you think that adds to that trauma? That energy.
It could, and I wonder if just the sheer number of people going through there now um, adds to the energy. Because
Right.
people have a field, and I wonder if that's helping to power it up.
I wonder. I don't know. That's interesting to think about. I don't know.
Because human beings have a measurable electromagnetic field,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, it's on a frequency that other humans could possibly pick up on. And I wonder if it's not powering up some of the activity. And then I wonder how, like I said, I wonder how much of it could be tulpa activity because people are going expecting the activity, and it's so ingrained in the culture now that we all believe it is. So
Right.
even if it wasn't, it is now, or if it was, we've just given it superpowers as far as the
Yeah.
paranormal go. I mean, and that goes for a lot of these places.
Yeah, just said it absolutely is. Negative energy feeds everything. Uh, yeah, I mean, it was just a thought, you know. I mean, especially the way the world is now.
Oh yeah, you can't turn on the TV. I don't turn on the TV unless I've got something specific to look at.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And something else, you know, your thought of whether it's a tulpa or not. I mean, I think that's part of. Oh, how do I explain my thoughts here? Is that part of basically like, you know, basically like the law of attraction, you know, if that makes sense. You know,
Attractors and attractors of strange attractors.
right, right. That's more what I'm thinking of. You know, the more you put out there of a certain thing, you're going to get that back.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's probably a
so I
mixture of everything.
kind of wonder. I don't know. Anyway, let's see. My next one. I don't know if see Waverly Hills wasn't even on this list, but my next one's pretty popular. I do remember this one. Eastern State Penitentiary, built in
That's a good one.
1829 with do what?
That's a good one.
Yeah, built in 1829 with castle-like walls and imposing guard towers. Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was the first prison to institute solitary confinement. Prisoners lived alone, ate alone, and even exercised alone in individual yards. When an inmate left his cell, a guard covered his head with a hood so that he remained in confinement. Although the solitary system was quickly discarded due to overcrowding, Eastern State is widely believed to have caused mental illness among prisoners. It operated as a regular prison from 1913 until it closed in 1917 or 1970. Sorry, during which time it housed both Al Capone and bank robber Willie Sutton. The prison was abandoned in 1971, and rumors of strange happenings have plagued the Stone Penitentiary ever since. Visitors to the prison, and there are many, for Eastern State is now a museum and Halloween haunted house. Report footsteps in the yards, the sound of someone pacing in the cells, eerie noises, and lonely walls that drift through the cold, dark corridors. Cell Block 12 is famous for its disembodied laughter, and one guard tower appears on some nights to be occupied by a shadowy figure keeping watch over the empty prison.
Or is it empty?
I don't think it is.
I don't. I
Yeah,
don't think any place
'cause-
like that can be.
No. I mean, obviously, solitary confinement now is used basically just for punishment. When I was a corrections officer in the early 2000s, a lot of the we called them lifers, you know, the people doing life without that were never getting out of prison, would do something just to get thrown in segregation, to take a vacation from everybody else. And they would keep them in there for 30 days. Excuse me. But that was a vacation. They wanted to do that.
I can see it.
Yeah. But if you're constantly in there, kept away from everybody, when you go out to recreation, they cover your head, have no contact with anybody other than the corrections officer, and that would probably be limited because they're probably coming by. You know, I don't know how it was 100 years ago, but with my experience, you know, so many times a day you get a head count of who all's there to make sure nobody's escaped. If they're not in their barracks or their cell, you have to find an individual. You know, but solitary confinement, you're not going to have that. So I could see people going mad with no contact. I mean, I'm not a huge people person. I think I'm getting better the older I get, but even myself, you know, you still need that contact because we're human.
Yeah, absolutely.
This, I could see them going nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That'd be crazy. Is this the one? And I'm gonna. I'm gonna pick on Jess here. Ghost Hunter, or was that Waverly Hills? I don't remember.
Mm.
You there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, I wasn't sure because you were kind of glitching. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm glitching. I notice every
But,
time I use my mouse, my camera blinks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I see you kind of freezing up a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
I may have too many windows open.
but yeah, that could be. That could be. But that's my next one. What's yours?
All right. This one is kind of cool. And not one that I really thought about was the New Jersey Pine Barrens, home of the Jersey Devil.
Oh, gotcha.
I
We need to do
mean,
a show on that.
we do need to do a show on that because that is one of the
We
most
haven't done a show on the Jersey
fascinating
Devil.
cryptids I've ever read about. And it's been
Oh, hold
tied
on just a second.
to
Jess said, sorry, what was the question? I said, is the Eastern State Penitentiary, isn't that where the ghost hunters supposedly caught that possible apparition? Oh, crap, where'd it go? Okay. My whole screen just kind of flashed, but I was moving my mouse. Isn't it where the ghost hunters supposedly found that possible apparition, that kind of appeared from nowhere and ran down the catwalk?
that I do remember that was it.
I think that was Eastern State.
That was the Dude Run episode.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That's why I was kind of wanting to pick on Jess about. She's not here to defend herself other than typing, and we can move on.
Oh, she can defend herself.
I know. Hi, Pam. How are you? Anyway, Mark, I'm sorry.
Yep. So, New Jersey Pine Barrens. It's obviously in New Jersey, and there's lots of pines. It's real sandy and marshy, and there's been stories of a strange creature with ram horns and wings that flies around and terrorizes people. And it's some of the pictures are pretty disturbing, actually. So,
Yep.
Lots of people have seen it since 1735.
Yeah, we need to do a whole show on that.
Yeah,
That's a
I don't
cool
even want to
story.
go into. I've got like 2 pages of just stuff on
Yeah,
the Pine Barrens and the Jersey Devil.
yeah, sweet. Jess said yes, it was. Okay. Then Pam, thankfully, she says, "I'm good, thanks. Nearly over the plague. I'm glad to hear you're starting to feel better."
Yeah, we was kind of worried about her. She did have the plague, not the actual plague, but
Right. Yep. Yeah, we do need to do a show on the Jersey Devil. I think that would be a fun show.
I want
That
to
story
meet.
is all.
I want to meet
It's
Jersey Devil.
it's always intrigued me. Kind of. I mean, not as much as the Mothman, not as much as the Jersey Devil, but I mean, we could do a kind of a weird cryptid show or whatever. Maybe we could do a top cryptids. I don't know.
Oh, I think you're
Something
onto
like
something
that.
there.
Yes, ma'am, I do agree. Pam said COVID sucks. That is all. You don't have to say
Yep.
anything else. I get it.
We've both been there.
Yep. Okay, my next one is Edinburgh Castle. Edinburgh. With some 900 years of history behind it. I can't really do a very good Scots accent, but I'd do it if I could.
I wouldn't even try.
Yeah.
I
With
can
some
screw it up.
900 years of history behind it, it would almost be a surprise if Edinburgh Castle wasn't one of Scotland's most haunted sites. Since its construction as a military fortress in the early 12th century, the castle has witnessed surprise attacks, executions, and even a brief capture by the English. Reincarnated as a tourist attraction, Edinburgh Castle now offers haunted tours. Hold on, I got to pop up here. Where was I at here? Haunted tours, or reincarnated as a tourist attraction, Edinburgh Castle now offers haunted tours in its dungeons, which has once hosted the likes of Duke Alexander Stewart of Albany, who escaped, stabbing his guards to death and burning their bodies. Lady
Well, he didn't
Janet
do things
Douglas.
half by half, did he?
I know it. Lady Janet Douglas of Glamis, accused of witchcraft and burned at the stake, and an unnamed piper who once wandered down the castle's underground passages and never returned. He's blowing that damn pipe and it pissed people off. That's what happened. In 2001, Edinburgh Castle became the site of one of the largest paranormal investigations in history. A team of 9 researchers and over 200 members of the public explored the castle's forgotten chambers and secret passages for signs of ghostly happenings. The public was not told which areas of the castle were rumored to be haunted and which were not. 51% of participants in haunted areas reported paranormal experiences, while only 35% did so in non-haunted areas. Shadowy figures, sudden drops in temperature, and the feeling of something tugged on your clothes are all everyday experiences in Edinburgh. If the castle's paranormal activity isn't enough, Edinburgh also boasts the Mary King's Close, an underground area of the city in which victims of the Black Plague were quarantined and left to die. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, Jess said she wants to be on that show, the Jersey Devil and the Cryptids. Yeah. You know you're more than welcome.
Done. Anytime. All right.
Yeah. I'd love to. I want to go to Scotland anyway. I've never been to Europe.
That would be a good place to visit.
Yeah, I've been to Asia, been to Australia, but I've never been to Europe. I'd love to go to Europe, England.
I want to tour the distilleries.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Road trip. Let's see. Yeah, Pam even said a road trip.
There you go. We're on our way.
All right. What's your next one, Mark?
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Washington, D.C.
All right. I'll take this one down because I've got that one on my list as well. So I'll pull that one down. All right.
All right. Thomas Jefferson has been heard playing the violin in the Yellow Oval Room. Andrew Jackson is said to have been seen lying on his bed, laughing. Mary Todd Lincoln is apparently reported his laugh. William Henry Harrison is said to haunt the attic. Why was he in the attic? That's what I want to know. Is he just trying to find something worth? I don't know. Let's see. Many of the ghostly sightings revolve around Abraham Lincoln. Winston Churchill said that he was haunted while spending the night in the Lincoln bedroom.
Huh.
He claimed to have just climbed out of the bath naked but smoking his habitual cigar when he encountered Lincoln's ghost leaning on the mantelpiece above the fireplace. He said, "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have me at a disadvantage." And the ghost smiled and disappeared.
I was gonna say, I wonder who scared who.
Not anything. So many pictures in my head, and none of them are good.
Had nothing on but a cigar.
Nothing on but a cigar.
Pam shared she's a McLeod. I wonder if we can stay with relatives. Then Jess put up, I'm a McGregor. Can't stay with my relatives. We got kicked out a long time ago. Talking about Scotland.
Well, one of my relatives was a famous highwayman, so I'm probably not welcome.
Yeah, I don't know. My family comes from Romsey, England, so it's now way down south on the other end. So I don't know. I'd love to go see it, but yeah.
Not it bad. I'm Scotch on one side, Irish on the other. It's probably not a good combination.
Yep. Let's see. I did Edinburgh. Hey, here's one that we can probably go see is Gettysburg.
We should go to that.
Yeah, we can make a road trip sometime and go to Gettysburg and check it out. I mean, go as
They
a
say
crew or
stuff
something.
happens there every single day.
Yeah. Have you seen that video? It's been out. It's been out for a while now. But this guy's in the car and it looks like this dude appears and takes off running across the battlefield and like disappears. Have you seen that video?
I have not seen that video, but I will be
I'll have
looking
to see if
for
I
it.
can. I have to see if I can find it. Yeah, but Gettysburg Battlefield. The Battle of Gettysburg lasted for 3 days and was one of the bloodiest in American history. Some 50,000 young men died in the conflict. With so many young men killed so violently, many believe that the site is haunted by fallen soldiers, unable to accept their untimely fate. These restless souls wander the Pennsylvania field, searching for their rifles and comrades, unaware the battle is over. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jess said that's the ultimate comeback, or Pam said that's the ultimate comeback and mess with people. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can't find it real quick.
Alrighty. It's going to be time to share the spooky videos. Yeah, Gettysburg is not only as a person who's interested in the paranormal, as somebody who is enamored of history, is definitely someplace I feel like would be well worth a visit.
Let's see. I've got it pulled up. I just got to find the video. Hey, Gettysburg Ghost Hunt Tour with ghost hunting equipment. TripAdvisor, top romantic hotels. I'm like, God dang it.
Oh, Phil.
All right. That's enough of that. All right. All right. Okay. This did they changed it. It's not share screen now. It's present.
Oh,
All
it's fancy.
right, here we go. Now it could be the water on the windshield, but it's pretty crazy. It's like right there.
Oh, yeah. That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird. Huh.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to go see it.
Yeah, that would be cool to go see.
All right. All right. What's next for you, man?
I have the Whaley House
Whaley House.
in San Diego.
Yep.
It's been called the most haunted house in America, according to Life magazine. The home was built in 1857 on the site of a former graveyard and gallows. Well, that was intelligent. You want haunted? That's how you get haunted.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Over the years, it has served as a family home, a grain store, San Diego County Courthouse, commercial theater, a ballroom, a billiard hall, and a school, and was opened as a museum in 1960. The eldest resident ghost at Whaley House is said to be a convicted robber, Yankee Jim Robinson, who was hanged in 1852 from a gallows that stood on the property before the house was built. According to a newspaper report, the wagon holding him beneath the gallows moved away. Yankee Jim dragged his feet on the wagon for as long as possible before swinging like a pendulum and slowly strangling to death. Oh, joy!
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
more of the same, it looks like.
Oh yeah. Sarah, how are you doing, Sarah? She said it was spooky.
It is spooky.
Yep. Yeah, the Whaley House was on my list as well. So We'll shoot down to the Myrtles Plantation in St.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Francisville, Louisiana. It is a good one. They don't have a lot.
I'd like to go there too.
That'd be cool to go to.
Even if you don't want to hunt ghosts, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Let's see. Myrtles Plantation. This estate in St. Francisville, Louisiana, built in 1796 by General David Bradford, is considered one of America's most haunted locales. Some say it has witnessed as many as 10 murders, though it allegedly hosts several ghosts. One of the most popular tales concerns a former slave named Chloe, who, as legend goes, had her ear chopped off by her master for eavesdropping. She allegedly sought revenge by poisoning a birthday cake, which killed 2 of the slave master's daughters. Their spirits are also said to haunt the plantation. According to the story, Chloe was hung by fellow slaves and lingers around the plantation, her ear severed, concealed by a turban. The story I heard, it was basically along that lines, but from what I heard, it killed the plantation owner's wife and 2 children. And her ear was severed because she overheard the plantation owner talking about something, and he got mad and cut her ear off to teach her to eavesdrop.
I can see that happening. Actually, people are cruel.
Yeah. Oh, they absolutely are. Yeah.
People are cruel.
But
Chris says we should totally go down there to the plantations.
oh, heck yeah. You got family down in Louisiana, don't you?
I do have some family down in Louisiana. I don't see them very often, but I'd love to drop in. Besides that, not to go down a rabbit hole,
Well, let's
but
go.
the food.
Oh, yeah.
The food in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I need to say. It's freaking amazing.
I love some Cajun food, man. God, it's so good.
I haven't been down there since I was 16 years old. No, maybe I was down there once since then. Maybe when I was 20. But I'd so love to go again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been down there too. But yeah, I love some Cajun food.
Their fair food is totally different than ours. We get corn dogs. They get shrimp on a stick.
They get gator on a stick.
Oh yeah,
That's some good stuff. That's the first place I tried gator was at a fair. You had gator on a stick. I was like, shit, yeah, sign me up. I'll try it.
I'll try it twice on Sunday.
Heck yeah. All right, what we got next, Mark?
Got Bachelor's Grove Cemetery in Chicago. Small cemetery and forest on the outskirts of Chicago has earned a reputation as the most haunted graveyard in the United States, thanks to more than 100 documented sightings of ghosts, strange lights, and other suggestively paranormal episodes, according to LiveScience.com. During the 1950s, after an outbreak of vandalism, the remote site, several people claimed to have seen an entire phantom farmhouse shimmering above the graveyard, which receded as they approached it. Others say they have seen the ghost of a farmer and his plow horse who died when they were dragged to their death in a nearby pond. Some people driving on the roads near the cemetery at night have reported encounters with a phantom 1940s gangster-style car that appears on the road in front of them before turning off the road and disappearing. Others claim to have crashed into the phantom car at a sharp curve in the road, but after the shock had passed, there was no damage and no other car. It's a pretty interesting spot. So, I mean, and it's got a white lady. You know, almost every haunted place has a white lady or whatever.
Yep.
And there's some interesting photographs attached to the article, which I guess
that also kind of reminds me. Have you heard the about the ghost car on 75?
Yes, the phantom car on 75. Yes.
Yep. That kind of reminds me of that.
Yep.
You know, where it goes to pass somebody, then disappears when it gets past them or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I've heard that story too. All right.
So I wonder if these stories, you talk about the white lady, the car. I wonder if that's a pretty common. I mean, it sounds like it's a common story, kind of like
all over the country, yeah.
Yeah, like we were talking. They were talking at the Paracon about the legends and lore. How so many places have kind of some of the same stories. So I kind of wonder if that might be part of it as well.
Well, and I wonder how many of these things come to pass because people have told the story so many times. It's become part of the psyche.
Yeah.
And we've talked about Tulpa a lot. I mean, and there's got to be a phenomenon that caused this to all start up. So
yeah.
Anyway,
yep, absolutely.
It's pretty cool.
All right. Next on my list is the Queen Mary.
Oh yeah.
Of course, I mean everybody's kind of aware. Again, I mean this is probably pretty much nothing new to anybody that really is in this space.
It is nothing new to anybody, I'm sure.
But if you're new to the paranormal or interested or whatever, you've not heard some of this stuff. The Queen Mary is a former luxury ocean liner and a warship nicknamed the Great Ghost. The Queen Mary was purchased by the city of Long Beach in 1967, transformed into a hotel, and became a popular tourist attraction. A meal and a guided walk around the ship's paranormal hotspots can run up to $109. Among the ghosts reportedly still hanging around are a sailor who died in the ship's engine room, a lady in white, and children who drowned in the ship's pool.
Yeah, and it's creepy. I've seen several shows where they've done investigations there. It's got some interesting activity.
Yeah. Hang on, I'm going to share something real quick.
All right.
I mean, that could be a ghost right there. It's just an ad that popped up. Sorry.
Oh,
it's pretty scary looking.
This gave me the shivers.
What
Jeez,
was that?
No, there's nothing scarier than real life pictures.
I know it. What the hell show it? Land of the Lost? Is that what I'm thinking of? Slee Stacks?
Slee Stacks, yeah, that totally looked like a Slee Stack.
Some things that only people that are watching can see. So if you need to see what I'm talking about, come watch the video on YouTube or Facebook. Well, YouTube forever, as long as we're going to be there. We'll take this short intermission and explain what happened. Our transhumanism episode, apparently we hit a nerve with YouTube because they took our video down.
Yes.
That's because some of the comments that we made in the show. So that tells me we were over the target. So yeah, YouTube pulled it down, kind of gave us a warning, a slap on the wrist, that next time we'll be suspended for a week. So
we need to post that over on Rumble so people can watch it, and you can still watch it on Facebook for now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, still on Facebook for now. We'll have to swing it over to Rumble. I think we need to be more active on Rumble too, but right now YouTube's where it's at. So. Yep. We will do our best to ex-nay on the Ovid's Day and all that stuff. I'm not good at Pig Latin either. So
I think everybody got it.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, Mark, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Queen Mary, I don't know a lot about it. I have heard the story of, the guy dying in the engine room and the children dying in the ship's pool.
Yeah. Well, this next one I'm sure is also on your list, the Stanley Hotel.
Believe it or not, it's not on there.
Really?
It's not on there. Nope.
Also on it's also on my list of places I really want to visit, and Colorado is not that far.
Nope.
I got a plan. We go to Colorado when they're having the big craft beer festival, the big craft beer competition, and then we swing over to the Stanley afterwards with lots of samples.
Right. I'm good. Let's do it.
All right. Road trip. again.
Yep. So the Stanley Hotel, the hotel that inspired Stephen King to write The Shining.
Yes, and I will be staying in 217.
Yep. What did he say? He said he saw or heard kids playing. What else? I don't remember what else. Chris said you'll definitely be seeing things if you go to the festival first.
She's
That's
not
the
wrong.
plan.
That is the plan. That is exactly the plan. I'll throw my arm around that ghost shoulder, go, "Hey, buddy, you want a beer?"
That was also a place where they treated tuberculosis, was it not?
I'm not sure.
If I remember right, it was a hospital at one point in time.
It's not in my notes, but it's possible.
Let's see.
It says that the ghosts have even unpacked the bags of visitors. So, I mean, I'm not against it. If you want to unpack my stuff and put it away,
Yeah.
bring you home. It's fine. You don't have to stay at the Stanley. I could use a maid.
Yep. It was. See, 1903, the Yankee steam power car inventor Freeland Oscar Stanley. 1849, 1940 was stricken with a life-threatening resurgence of tuberculosis. The most highly recommended treatment for the day was a fresh, dry air with much sunlight and a hearty diet. Therefore, like many lungers of his day, Stanley resolved to take the curative air of the Rocky Mountains. He and his wife Flora arrived in Denver, Colorado in March, and in June, on the recommendation of Dr. Sherman Grant Bonney, moved to Estes Park, Colorado for the rest of the summer. Over the season, Stanley's health improved dramatically. Impressed by the beauty of the valley and grateful for his recovery, he decided to return every year. He lived at 91, dying of a heart attack in Newton, Massachusetts, 1 year after his wife. Stupid pop-ups. Stanley resolved to turn Estes Park into a resort town. Construction began in a Hotel Stanley, a 48-room grand hotel, and catered to the class of moderately wealthy urbanites who composed of Stanley's social circle back, as well as the consumptives seeking a healthful climate. So they did treat people with tuberculosis there.
Not as a full-blown sanitarium, but more as a resort location.
Right. So they did do that. Huh.
A lot of our stories of hauntings throughout the United States center around that era.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people
so
died.
Many
really
people died.
Death.
Yep.
I don't know how much people know about tuberculosis today, but it is nasty. It's even hard to treat today.
Yep.
So I've had patients who had it and they were miserable, and they had way better treatment today than they would have 100 years ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, Doc Holliday died of it. I mean, millions of people died from it.
Oh yeah, and continue to die from it worldwide, really.
Yeah.
We're fortunate in the United States that, we've got good medical care. So many places don't.
Yep.
I know everybody complains about it these days, but I mean, it really is the best medical care in the world.
Yep. All right. Yeah, moving on, we have the Tower of London.
Ooh, yes, that's got to be haunted.
Erected by William the Conqueror in the 11th century, this former political prison and place of execution has long been viewed as one of the most haunted buildings in the British Isles. Among the ghosts flitting through the fortresses are the spirits of Anne Boleyn, wife of Henry VIII, who was beheaded in 1536, Lady Jane Grey, who was spotted by a guardsman on February 12, 1957, on the 403rd anniversary of her death, and Sir Walter Riley. The first ghost allegedly spotted in the building was Thomas Becket in the 13th century. That's
Yeah.
all that one, but
So many people have been executed there.
yeah.
Many of them
Yeah.
for trumped up bull.
Yeah. Well, I did hear, Anne Boleyn or whatever, Henry VIII's wife, he threw her in prison, because of adultery and possible witchcraft. And, a lot of people theorize that he just wanted to get rid of her so he can move on with a girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah. And, judging from his history with his other wives, that's,
Yep.
probable.
Yeah.
Probable.
That's kind of, what do you do in that time? I think that's, Sarah, she said she's been in and out, but have you guys talked about Lake Lanier? No, we have not.
We sure haven't.
Yeah. So the Tower of London. Don't have a lot on that on this article, but there's tons of people that got executed there. You hear about the heads on the pikes and stuff on the bridge and all that. So I could see it. Definitely see it.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
My next one is multiple locations, but they are the New England's covered bridges. Most of them have a ghost story about them. New England's historic covered bridges have accumulated stories of ghosts over the years. One of the best known is Emily's Bridge in Stowe, Vermont, about 30 miles east of Burlington. The spooky-looking covered bridge was the scene of a young woman's suicide by hanging in the mid-1800s, supposedly after she arranged to meet a lover there to elope, but he didn't turn up. I'm going to say he probably did, and it wasn't suicide.
Probably.
But that's just my feeling. Emily's ghost is now said to haunt the bridge, leaving claw-like gouges on passing cars and scratching the backs of people who cross the bridge on foot. I'm going to say she's angry, so that's what leads me to think that my theory is probably holds some water.
Yeah, but that seems like it's another one of those widespread legends or whatever.
Yeah.
You always hear the couple that goes out parking, the guy gets out to go to the bathroom, and then the girlfriend or whatever hears the scratching or the tapping on the car, gets out, find out this guy's hanging in a tree above the car, tapping on the roof because he's dead or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, there's my wife. She's here.
Yay. And then there's also the Eunice Williams covered bridge in Greenfield, Massachusetts, named for Eunice Williams, who was killed in 1704 after she had been taken captive during a raid by the French and Native American forces on the English settlement at Deerfield. 47 villagers died in the assault, and the survivors were forced to march nearly 300 miles in Williams was the wife of a local clergyman, had reportedly given birth only a few days before and collapsed as the captives were marching by the Green River, and was likely killed by a tomahawk blow. Legend has it that Williams now haunts the covered bridge that was built at the spot. Her ghost has been seen near the water under the bridge and supposedly has mistaken passerby for members of her family. That's kind of creepy. And
it is.
And then you get into all the headless horseman legend and the covered bridge and all that.
I love that story though. I
It's a
love the
Doulahan.
headless horseman story.
It's a Doulahan. That's European legend. Scottish, isn't it? Or is it Irish? It's Irish.
I'm not sure, but I do. I love the story of the headless horseman. I have ever since I was a little kid. Saw the Disney version of it, but
it creeped me the hell out.
Yeah, Yeah, the whole Ichabod Crane thing. I love that story.
And it's not a bad movie. I think there was a series
Um,
about it too.
there may have been. I know Johnny Depp did a movie like Sleepy Hollow or something like that too.
Something like that, yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that'd be cool. I mean, I just love the story, and I'm sitting here thinking in my head, if we had time, I mean, we could try out our voice acting skills and read the story on a show. I think that'd be fun.
I'm willing to do that. If someone, we could do Sleepy Hollow, but I mean, that could be a special show we do once in a while. We could do some voice acting. Maybe we'll get discovered.
Or maybe Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, yes.
The short stories, I love the Telltale Heart, the Cask of Amontillado, all that. I love those stories.
I would love to. People, see, there was a TV series.
Yep. TV series Sleepy Hollow was pretty good.
If anybody wants to hear Phil and I read some Edgar Allan Poe or some of these other things, let us know. I mean, we're willing. It may not be good, but
I give it a shot.
Try.
I mean, at the worst comes to worst, we could pre-record it so we can edit
it. Worst comes to worst, you can just not listen.
This is true.
That's the ultimate vote.
My mom, she said, ever think about Ghost in the Browns Mansion? Yeah, we actually talked about that. Somebody talked about it at Paracon, didn't they?
Yes. And our good friend, Jessica, is actually an expert on that. She worked there for many years.
Okay.
So only if Mark does the Ravens line.
Mark does the Ravens line.
I mean, okay. Deal. I'll do it.
Got some Samuel L. Jackson in there too. call you meffer. Let's see. All right, my last one I have is the Winchester House, which is a good one. We were kind of talking about that earlier. How that one seems to be like almost every list is the Winchester House. If you're not familiar, so if this mystery house isn't actually haunted, and the U.S. Department of Commerce has certified that it is, it's still one of the spookier construction projects in history. After the death of her husband and child, Sarah Winchester, the wife of the rifle maker's son, consulted a seer who proclaimed her family had been killed by the ghost of those who died of bullets from her family's guns. The seer suggested that only perpetual construction on the family's mansion could mollify these spirits. So that's what Sarah Winchester ordered. Workmen labored on the property every hour of every day for 38 years. The 160-room estate, built entirely without the aid of blueprints, is truly bizarre. Some of the creepier features are staircases to nowhere, doors that open into brick walls or 10-foot drops, and a window that is etched, and a window with an etched glass spiderweb motif.
Yeah, it would creep me out going. And whether it's haunted or not, just all the creepy.
Yeah.
Oh,
backtracking. Pam said, "OMG, yes," talking about your Samuel L. Jackson Raven. Yeah, the Winchester House, man. Again, that's another one I don't know a lot about. I'm aware of it. I'm not really dug into it, other than knowing that, obviously Winchester, her husband made it, or whatever. I know the story behind it, so I got a little tongue tied there.
That's all right. Yeah, I'd like to go there too, just because it's weird.
Yeah.
So, my next one, or the last one for this one, because some of mine also got deleted here because we covered them. The entire city of New Orleans.
Yeah.
The entire city of New Orleans.
New Orleans has everything, though.
We could have 10 pages just on New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's old. It's underwater. Well, it's not underwater, but it should be
Yeah.
because it's below sea level. Whoever decided building a town below sea level, so close to the ocean,
Right.
was probably inebriated when he decided. Just gonna say it.
Yeah.
And not the wisest place to build. And St. Louis Cemetery #1, uh, Marie Laveau, all that stuff. Uh, the Myrtles Plantation is right there
Yep.
too. So that would be a good ghost trip because New Orleans is a party town. We could party in New Orleans and go out to the
Oh yeah.
plantation.
Yep. And I've also heard stories from there with vampires, psychic and the normal vampires that
Yeah,
you
and
think of.
people being vampires there.
Uh-huh.
There's a
Pam said, I have the coolest tintype of an ancestor that lived and was buried in New Orleans. That's cool.
That's cool. I mean, it sounds like another road trip.
Yep.
You need to get on that lottery there, Phil.
I know it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could talk about New Orleans the rest of the night. We'll just
Yeah.
the whole town.
Yeah. And then you also have the Lugaroo down there.
Yeah.
The Dogman or the Bigfoot, the Swamp Ape, all that's down there.
Yeah, so
In
many
that area.
buildings with so many ghost stories.
Yep.
I mean, you could have a series just on the ghosts and hauntings of New Orleans, a TV series.
Yeah.
You could. So
I imagine, I would imagine that there's probably a series somewhere, in the past. I know I've seen tons of that stuff all over TV about New Orleans
yeah.
in that area.
now there's some of them that didn't make either of our lists. Although, I mean, I was doing live science. But I mean, there's all kinds of lists out here. Everybody has a different top 10 list.
Yeah.
It's just
And that's the thing. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
we could just talk about this for days.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, though, I mean, that's kind of, we're trying to research it. I mean, we're going to do top 10s, but everybody's top 10 was different. It didn't matter where you looked.
And
The
sheer number of places is just so sometimes horrifically haunted.
Oh, yeah.
It's astounding.
Yep. Like, was it Bender's Mound? I'm sure. Who was that? Jason that was talking about that? The ghost guy?
Might have, yeah.
Was talking about Bender's Mound. It's not even a mound anymore. I mean, it's barely a marker there now. That story's creepy. Locally. My mom just posted something, said, what about the hotel in Liberty, Kansas years ago where the Vaughns lived? I grew up in Liberty, so I know who they are. Most people obviously wouldn't. But, I don't know much about that Liberty's history when it comes to that, but I know it used to be a bigger town than what it is now. I mean, there's maybe 100 people there now.
Yeah, counting the outlying areas, it's not very big at all.
Yeah. It was just a little farming community. In the house I grew up in, obviously, I mean, you guys have heard the story, was haunted.
Really, Liberty just looks haunted, the whole town.
Yeah, it's a little town, man. It is. It's, like I said, maybe 100 people now. Not very big at all. And then they used to do there's an old school building that closed down right before I started school in the early 80s. And they used to do haunted houses and stuff there and all that. It was the community building or whatever, for like 4-H fundraisers and stuff like that. But I could see that place being haunted, as old as that building is, the whole area. It was right next to the cemetery. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Have you guys ever been up there to check the cemetery out?
We have not. At least I haven't.
No.
But, that brings up something. most schools I've heard about that are of any age seem to have a ghost stories. Um, so I wonder if it's just because of all that unstable teen energy that goes through there that fuels those. A lot of them seem to be residual. You've got people following the same timetable day after day, year after year. It's like they wear a rut in time and space, I think.
Yeah, I can see that.
So a lot of them are sounds and stuff like that. And Chris has a really good ghost story. I'll have to have her tell you sometime
Cool.
uh, about somebody she saw who shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
So, uh, but it seems like schools in general have a lot of stories like that.
Yeah. That'd suck though, being stuck in a school for eternity.
Is that hell?
Could be. Could be.
Could be somebody's. Could be somebody else's heaven.
True. True.
Really? I mean, as long as your friends are there, you might like it.
Yeah.
So,
See, that kind of makes me wonder in the afterlife, you know, so let's you know, if you're let's say I come back and haunt a place, is it going to be just me haunting it, or am I going to have buddies there?
I mean, if it's a good
You know?
place, maybe so.
Do you meet up in the afterlife and say, hey, let's go scare the crap out of these people, or you know, if you're attached to something in that spot?
Yeah.
You know, that's like my grandparents, they lived down in Hot Springs, and I'm pretty sure my grandpa paid cash for the house after they sold their farm up here or near Mound Valley. They were the only people that ever lived there. But there was one room in that place. It was always cooler. And I never had any experience there, but I heard my oldest brother and my sister had experiences in that room. You know, and if I remember right, it was after my grandmother passed away. So maybe he was in there, but yeah.
It could have been an object, or it could have been just a spirit that was attached to the land, or maybe a portal.
Yeah, that makes sense because my granddad, he was big into antiques and stuff like that. So that makes sense. It could have had an attachment there.
Yeah, antiques. I don't know. It seems to me like antiques could be dangerous.
Yeah.
You know what? We should go investigate an antique shop. And it would
That'd be
change
kinda
all
cool.
the time as they bring stuff in and out.
Yeah. My mom asked, "Are there any church or any churches haunted?" I'm sure there is.
I've heard of some, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. What's the one? Is it back east or is it in England where they talk about they have the devil's chair where you go around, if you run around the church so many times, the devil's supposed to appear or whatever. I don't remember where that's at.
I don't
Have you heard
remember
that one.
I've heard it, but it's been so long ago I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know. I love stories like this though, especially real places. You know, people that are frequented or tourist attractions, things like that. I love these stories.
Places you can go and touch and visit.
Yep. But what I love even more is individual stories. You know, I love to hear people's stories. I love to hear, especially if they're physically telling you the story. You know, because everybody's got to tell. You know that you can get that, you can gauge whether are they making this crap up or did this happen to them, and you can see them relive that stuff. You know, and what creeped me out, you know, everybody's heard my story about when I lived down on the state line, the whole upstairs I pretty much avoided. What set me off, and I remembered Amityville, was the flies. because there were tons of flies upstairs, in the windowsills and all that crap that set me off. And it really, I was like, that freaked me out. But yeah, I mean, it's all based on experience. It's all, our lives that we experience and live. And I think that also relates to our paranormal experiences, through our personal experience.
I believe that that's also true.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of. Sorry.
No, you're good.
My allergies are about to kill me, buddy.
Oh man, I understand. Speaking of stories, I've got the post up on Facebook. We would love to hear your stories. I'm trying to put together. Pam, Jess, you guys are invited. Obviously, you guys know you can show up. I don't care. Anytime, just let us know. Hey, we want to talk about this. Come on, let's do this.
We'll put a link up and we'll get it going.
Yep. I'm trying to set up a special Halloween episode. It's going to be pre-recorded. I don't think we're going to do a live show. That way we can have it out and posted for Halloween. We're going to have the audio up on all of your podcast listening platforms. We'll have it up on Facebook. We'll have it up on YouTube. But we want to hear your stories. So please don't hesitate. We're going to share the stories with no judgment. If you don't want your name attached, that's fine. Let us know. Shoot it to us in an email. whatiftomorrow pc@gmail.com. Shoot it to us in Messenger. Follow us on Facebook on the group, the What If Tomorrow podcast group. We would love to hear your stories, and we'd love if we could share your stories. That would be great too. Because I'm trying to put this together. I've invited all the crew from the Odd House Network. We've got one guy jumping on for sure. I think he said he's there. He's got a podcast later that morning, but he's Eastern time, so he may be a little bit late depending on when it happens. But Chad Smith from the Chad Smith podcast, if you guys have never listened, go check him out. He does a lot of like tarot and stuff like that. He does, obviously paranormal. And again, while I'm at it, I'll pitch, the Paranormal Chop Shop, with Sonny.
Those guys are
spooky,
cool.
Awesome guys. We've been on their show a time or two. Great guys. All the whole crew with the Odd House guys are just awesome. So look forward to that, and it's going to be up on Halloween. That's the plan. I mean, we're going to probably record it that Sunday before,
barring misfortune.
Right, as long as everything goes right. But yeah, we've got an invite out for all those guys. And again, like I said, Pam and Jess, you guys are more than welcome. But we want to hear your stories. I mean, you guys have heard our stories. Pam and Jess, people probably haven't heard all of your stories, so you guys are more than welcome to share. Chad, Sonny, Spooky, Big Willie. Ben said he's going to be out of town, so he won't be able to, but hopefully Joe will jump on and we can share. And it doesn't just have to be ghosts. It can be cryptids. It can be UFOs. It could be near-death experience. It could be anything that's on the fringe.
Yep.
That's why we have named this, because we love all of that stuff. So
that is true.
With that being said, I mean, we just want to hear your stories. And please give us permission to share your stories, because if you guys say, hey, this is my story, but I don't want you to share it, we won't share it. That's a promise. So let's see. Pam said, I know we have some good ones that we haven't shared, so bring them. That's what it's about. We kind of want to get spooky. It's Halloween. We want to have fun. Halloween's about fun. I mean, really not the true meaning behind the holiday, but it's become what it is. And hey, don't hey, drop the MFer.
Oh yeah.
Can't get too deep into it because we might get snagged by YouTube again.
Stories like this.
Yes.
Once upon a midnight dreary.
Yes, you got to do that. Got to do that.
Technology is grand, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. I love it. But yeah, folks, definitely please share your stories. Also, up on the Facebook group, I've got 3 logos up there I worked up. Please go over there, vote on it. Let me see if I can share these real quick. Let's see. I don't like this present screen.
Is it different?
Let me see what I got here. But I'm going to share these real quick. Like, see downloads. All right, here is one. There we go. There's number 1.
Okay.
And number 2. And number 3. So do us a favor, go over. I mean, if you watch this on YouTube or Facebook, I know if you're listening, just go over to the Facebook group. I've got it pinned at the top of the page to check it out. And please go over and vote, because whichever one you guys vote for, that's the one we're going to be using for our logo, our new logo for On the Fringe. So number 3 is actually leading the charge right now. Everybody's been voting for that. But come over and let us know your opinion on it. Appreciate it.
It's you guys' show as much as it is ours.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think last show, Mark and I do that. We can do this every day.
We could.
Just us. But we enjoy these subjects so much that we want to share it with you guys. So really, this is your show. If there's something you want to hear, something you want us to talk about, something you don't want us to talk about, by all means, let us know.
If you want to just tell us to shut up because we're idiots,
yeah, we'll ignore you. But I mean, we'll ignore that.
Will,
but I promise. But yes, do us a favor, go over there and check it out at the podcast group. If you're not a member of the podcast group, What If Tomorrow podcast group, join it. There's a lot of cool stuff getting put up there. Joey Peters posts a lot up there. Share it with your
weird friends.
Absolutely, man. I mean, the weirder the better. I mean,
absolutely. Weird is cool. Weird is the new cool.
Yeah, in some cases, we'll go there. If you like the paranormal, if you like preparedness, we got an open door. Come on. But there is sometimes some weird is too weird. I will say that.
Don't talk about me like that, Phil.
No, you're not that weird.
I'm pretty weird. I can't. And the more we do this show, the weirder. I've found myself getting weirder at work. People are starting to give me strange looks.
Oh, well.
Stranger than normal. So I apologize.
Yeah. But anyway, folks, we thank you again. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. So we do appreciate it. We appreciate you giving your time. And with all that, we'll catch you next episode.
Have a good night, folks.